I bid a fond farewell to New Mexico, taking amazing memories of the adventures I had there, and made the short 35-mile trek just across the New Mexico-Texas border, south to Guadalupe Mountains National Park.
Okay, I'm coming up on Pine Springs in Guadalupe Mountains National Park. I have never been to this national park before, so this is National Park number 42. We are here. Visitor Center, Pine Springs Campground and Trailhead. Right this way. Okay, here we go. Campground straight ahead. Where do I go? Okay, I'm trusting. Trusting. Where do I go? I'm in Site 33. Here's 31. $32. Oh my gosh, it's like right in a parking lot. $33, RV only, right there. Okay, that's my spot.
Site number 33 was not very deep, which required me to unhitch the truck. And just for future reference, this arrow is pointing to the east. That will become important within the next 24 hours. I arrived in Guadalupe Mountains National Park in the early afternoon, so why waste time? This is a map of the national park, and this is the location of my campsite at Pine Springs. Nearby, I found a great trail called the Springs Trail that took hikers right up into the foothills with great views of the valley below and a payoff at the end, Smith Springs. While I was on the hike, this AccuWeather alert popped onto my phone, alerting me to high winds the following day, 45 to 55 mile per hour winds with 85 mile per hour gusts. Well, I figured I just had these back at White City when I visited Carlsbad Caverns a couple days ago, so I planned the same two precautions. 1, I'll pull in the slide out, and 2, I'll make sure to get back to camp midday tomorrow to check on things. I got an early start on the day and decided to hike McKittrick Canyon. The ranger said that in windy conditions, this hike can be pleasant because the canyon shelters hikers from the wind. McKittrick Canyon is a short, maybe 15-minute drive from the campground. The hike follows a smoothly inclining wash and so is not too difficult. Okay, it's the morning, about 8 a.m. I'm leaving on the McKittrick Canyon Trail. It's beautiful. The winds have not picked up yet. The ranger said it could get up to 95 mile per hour gusts this afternoon, but it should be somewhat calm in the canyon here, so that's why I chose this hike. So here we go. Let's see what's up the canyon. 2.3 miles up, hikers will find themselves at Pratt Cabin, which has been preserved by the National Park Service. The Pratt family donated a huge portion of land that would become Guadalupe Mountain National Park. Another mile plus up the trail is a location called the Grotto. This proved to be a great place to stop and have a bite to eat before turning back to camp. An approximate 7-mile hike round trip, give or take. I noticed that the weather conditions were definitely changing on the way back to the McKittrick Visitor Center. Woo! Woo! Wind is picking up. This is a stream that comes down the wash from an oasis, I assume, where we saw that trout a little bit earlier. The stream comes down and then here just disappears underground. Who knows? There could be a Carlsbad Caverns forming underneath there somewhere. And the wash just continues down the canyon. But I don't think I've ever seen a stream just disappear before like this. How interesting. Arriving back at the visitor center, the metal roof was definitely not shaped like this when I started on the trail. This was my first indication that the windstorm was pretty serious, and I beat a hasty return to camp. Upon my arrival there, this is what I found.
The wind is so strong, look at that.
The winds were blowing out of the west, and yes, my sight was configured broadside, so my R-pod was completely exposed, which is why it was being pushed off the jacks. With winds gusting up to 90 miles per hour outside, I knew I had to move the trailer and fast. Just 2 sites away, in site 31, the picnic table had been tossed into the bushes. Now let me zoom in here, and do you see that the wind not only flipped the table, but also pulled up the 2-foot stake that anchored the table to the ground? Now, as we return to the inside of my trailer, have a listen and then look out the window. What do you see?
Jesus, those are rocks. Those are rocks hitting the side of my trailer during a 100-mile-per-hour gust. So right now I'm working on getting this thing moved and pointed into the wind. Whew, God. Okay, this is my old site 33. That's been snapped off. Look at the picnic table over there from site 31. Imagine if my picnic table had flipped over onto my RV like that. Look at that. And then this yucca plant right here. And so a number of us have just moved so that we're pointed into the wind. Because those gusts are just incredible. I've never been in wind like that before. That's nuts. It's supposed to go on all day. I'm hunkering down in my trailer because the winds outside are gusting to 100 miles per hour, and I am not kidding. This makes last week's winds at Carlsbad look like child's play. When these squalls come through, the entire trailer shakes. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, and this is supposed to go on until midnight. I've already been hunkering down for about 2 hours so far, and hopefully it's supposed to die down around midnight tonight. So we'll just have to see how that goes.
So sorry if I made you jump. These alerts were coming fast and furious onto my phone. Well, this will be a first. I've never been in a dust storm before. My view of the surrounding mountains was quickly obscured by the dust storm. It wasn't zero visibility, but it was sure enough to get me pretty worried. And if you think that the winds were going to die down at midnight, no, that did not happen. The winds persisted all night long. This is just a sample of what it was like.
Jesus.
The following morning, we were not out of the woods yet. Winds were still gusting to around 65 miles per hour the entire day, making it impossible for us to leave. We emerged from our RVs, checked things over, shared war stories, and decided to have a look around the camp.
Okay, it's the morning after. The wind is still pretty strong, and I'm just doing a walk around. I mean, look up top, I see the air conditioner still looks okay. The truck still looks okay. Jacks are still down. All right, things look okay.
Around camp, there was extensive damage in the form of dumpster rollovers, downed trees, and remember that sign coming into the park? Well, here it is now. Most heartbreaking was this, which occurred in the visitor center parking lot.
The 100 plus mile per hour gusts turned it right over. So here's what I know is that these people showed up and then they parked broadside, just not knowing, into the wind. And they went into the visitor center, and while they were in the visitor center, this happened. Their dog was inside, and the dog is just fine, didn't appear to be traumatized, and they were able to rescue the dog. And so that is the story behind this, but it really was sobering and heartbreaking to see this happen. And I just feel so bad for the people whose trip probably ended right here and who have a big headache on their hands to clean up. But also just a sobering reminder of, this is Mother Nature. The wind has died down for the moment. Later tonight, which is my second night here, there is supposed to be a dust storm, and the winds are supposed to pick up overnight. But there is a break tomorrow morning where the winds decrease to 35 miles per hour. And I think that is going to be 3 of us in the RV park up there are going to use that opportunity to try to escape this wind. I hope that we are successful, because I'd really like to get to Big Bend. The other good news is that tonight is not supposed to be near as bad as last night. Last night had gusts to 100 miles an hour, and then tonight is supposed to be like 50 to 60.
Fortunately, that night the winds were very light and I was able to get some sleep finally. The next morning during sunrise, we shared more war stories and travel experiences with my fellow campers before we parted ways during this break in the wind.
There's a break between wind alerts, and this is my opportunity to depart Guadalupe Mountains National Park on the day that I had actually planned to depart. So maybe things were just meant to be.
Okay, so this is a good time to reflect. What did I learn here? 1. When preparing for a significant wind event, stay hitched to your tow vehicle, put your jacks down firmly, and point your vehicles into the wind. 2. Pay attention to weather alerts. 3. Be friendly and work with your fellow campers to help one another, which we did, and we bonded together, my new friends. And 4. Mother Nature is indeed in charge. Okay, next stop and more adventures from Big Bend National Park. We will see you there.